Hello. Thank you for joining the FEITIAN and VersaSec webinar. We'll be getting started shortly. Hello, and thank you for joining the FEITIAN VersaSec webinar. I'm Pan Kamal, Head of Marketing for FeitianTechnologies, and I'm the host for today's webinar entitled Overcoming Challenges to FIDO and Passwordless Adoption in the Enterprise. The audio for this program is broadcast via your web connection, and due to this format, we will not be broadcasting live questions. However, we will make every attempt to answer questions you post in the Q&A panel. And just to let you know, a recording of this session will be sent out to everybody that is registered for this event. I'm based in Silicon Valley in the US, and joining me today from the south of France is William Mowry, Vice President of Worldwide Sales for VersaSec. William is a recognized expert in identity and access management and holds an MS degree in computer science from Polytech Marseille. William joined VersaSec in 2011 and was promoted to Vice President of Worldwide Sales in 2013. Welcome, William, and thank you for joining us.
Thanks a lot, Pan. I'm very happy to be here.
Excellent. So let's jump right into the program here. And we're talking about identity and authentication being the largest attack vector. We know based on reports that have been published by several security companies, one of which is CrowdStrike in their 2023 Global Threat Report, that, mentioning that identity and authentication have become the largest attack vector due to the fact that most cyber attacks start with login or credential-based attacks. And some of these types of attacks include ATO or account takeover attacks that are supported by credential stuffing attacks. There's man-in-the-middle software supply chain attacks, and of course, ransomware attacks that are causing a lot of concern currently. Almost always, these attacks start with identity and authentication as the attack vector, and for the attacker, the path to the coveted prize is in fact the password. So something that is really front and center in what people are doing at this point. And in fact, Okta as well says that 81% of these attacks are credential-based attacks. Let's take a look at passwordless authentication. And here's a chart that Microsoft had published a while back. And the challenge has always been how to make passwordless authentication secure and convenient. So to the left and upper left of this chart in that quadrant, there are unending push notifications, MFA fatigue. As you go right and to the bottom of this chart, you're stuck with the familiar username and password combos to log in. However, that's not secure. And the answer really lies in passwordless authentication, where you eliminate the password, but use other factors such as biometrics to authenticate the identity of the user at login. There are many forms of authentication in use today, and we're used to getting OTP or 2FA notifications on our mobile phones. We're getting that all the time. There are also authenticator apps like Microsoft Authenticator and Google Authenticator that perform that function, or one can use fully passwordless app infrastructure, such as the one shown here from Hyper, that will use biometrics from the mobile phone to verify the user and then pass a token to the application, usually to the endpoint or laptop, usually via Bluetooth, that enables login passwordlessly. Other forms include authentication capabilities that are already built into the endpoint, such as what I'm showing here from Windows, where you can use different forms of login that the OS itself supports. And you do that with varying levels of security. And finally, there are devices like those that FEITIAN manufactures, and these are hardware-based tokens that get added on as an additional layer of security. They deliver the most secure authentication experience, but it does require the user to carry or possess a small device in addition to their endpoint. Here's some examples of 2FA or two-factor authentication in use today. These are OTP tokens or one-time password tokens and cards produced by Feitian. There have been questions about the security of 2FA devices in the past. However, most organizations use them because they are more secure than username and password alone. And also they can function in an air-gapped environment or if you're in airplane mode, for example, so making it way more convenient. Enterprises have had PKI-based authentication in place for a long time, very effective, very secure, however, very cumbersome to manage. And using encrypted X.509 certificates requires a credential management system, a lot of effort on the part of IT, and solution architects to get platforms and applications to work with it. It is secure, but very hard to manage. In this picture, you're seeing some innovations here, such as the fingerprint card, where there's actually a fingerprint sensor on the card. It requires the user's thumbprint, thumb to be on the fingerprint sensor, so it binds the identity of the human via biometrics to the credential, and you can use it to unlock a door. You can use it to in a contact or contactless reader for passwordless login or digital signing, etc. And then the same kind of virtual smart card capability built into a PKI token. So just as a different form factor, and these are products that Feitian provides as well. So let's look at the fact that Gartner has published research that validates the fact that enterprises today still use multiple forms of authentication across the enterprise. And this graphic from Gartner talks about the fact that there are three different forms of authentications or flavors of authenticators, and such as dedicated devices as hardware authenticators like the ones we at Feitian make, companion devices such as mobile phones used as an authenticator, and then embedded credentials, where the secure enclave is created in the laptop or endpoint, such with, for example, a TPM chip or a trusted platform module chip in a Windows laptop, and the laptop itself becomes the virtual smart card or virtual FIDO key. And all of these have varying degrees of security. So let's take a look at what's prevalent in the enterprise today. What are enterprises living with? In reality, it's a mix of legacy and new authentication, and it varies between platforms. There are many forms being used even within the same enterprise. However, the reality is that the upgrade and budget life cycles vary department to department, and organizations may end up living with operational systems that can only support security processes that they were designed for until they're replaced. The promise of FIDO is to decentralize authentication and extend a high degree of identity assurance to legacy systems, and provide a path to the newer systems along with these systems or their proxies support FIDO. So why is FIDO considered a more simplified experience? The FIDO server at the platform or application side can push passkeys to individual users without added support from IT administrators or solution architects. This is particularly true when compared with PKI certificate-based authentication. However, this means that users have to self-provision to multiple application environments one at a time, and the level of security depends on the type of authenticator they select. Passkeys can be loaded on a mobile phone as an authenticator. They can be saved to a laptop or tablet, or for higher assurance or very secure environments, passkeys can reside in device-bound hardware authenticators. And so the challenge really lies in how do you connect all of those requirements within the enterprise to work across various systems. So FIDO has certainly simplified the consumer experience, but at the enterprise level, there's still a challenge on how to manage users and manage their FIDO experience. So let me quickly take a few minutes to cover some information about FeitianTechnologies. Our US headquarters are based in Silicon Valley in San Jose, California. with global operations in several countries, and our solutions are market proven and time tested as the company has been in place for 25 years in existence. We have a number of locations where we operate. Our one point of note is the fact that we have set up a manufacturing line outside of China in Singapore that meets TAA, or the U.S. Trade Agreements Act, so that U.S. government entities can purchase products that are manufactured in countries that are friendly to the U.S. and meet U.S. government requirements. So just wanted to make that clear, and we are certified to do that. Just a quick view of our many of our trusted partners and customers that currently are using Feition products. On the top right of the slide, you'll notice there are some association names such as the FIDO Alliance, the Secure Technology Alliance, and several others, the FIP certifications, etc., and the Microsoft MISA Intelligence Security Association. We're all members of that. We're a member of the FIDO board and bring FIDO technology at the forefront into our product offerings very quickly. Again, to move this forward, Feition's Identity and Authentication Division delivers solutions in 4 product segments. It's commercial 2FA and multi-factor authentication. On the high assurance side, we deliver government-grade security by adding FIP certification, support for PIV, support for biometrics, to meet the requirements of government security applications, as well as those for regulated industries. And then finally, digital access to compute resources, which is essentially smart card readers, both contact and contactless readers for both desktop, laptop, and mobile applications. And then finally, the converged access side, which is very interesting. It brings together the realm of physical and IT access. So the single credential, common credential, can be used to tap on, for example, an HID reader and unlock the door, and users can move over to their desk environments to then passwordlessly log into their computing resources. So some interesting products there. Just quickly wanted to give you a glimpse of what our FIDO, some of our FIDO key offerings look like. We have connectivity options that support USB-A, USB-C, and then on the mobile device side, also support NFC for essentially a wireless authentication experience. And of course, as I'd mentioned, our high assurance capabilities of on-chip biometrics, FIPS 140-2 certification for the cryptographic module, and then PKI and PIV capabilities. So as we look into address the challenges of enterprises needing multiple authentication technologies, we look to provide the broadest range of authentication technologies. However, at the software level, it is equally important to provide a solution that equalizes the user experience and provides a way to create a unified authentication experience. And for that reason, we partnered with VersaSec. And here to tell you more about VersaSec is William Parry. William, will you please allow me to turn the session over to you?
Thanks a lot, Pam. Very clear, very instructive. Thank you. So yeah, why FeitianTechnologies partners with VersaSec, and why VersaSec partner with FeitianTechnologies? Because by providing the hardware, and VersaSec by providing the software that will manage the lifecycle of the hardware, together we are able to help organizations to build their identity and access management strategies that will fit their security goals. And the credential management system will do that by fully integrate with the customer's ecosystems, whether we are talking about the user directory, the HSM, the PKI, the IDP. I'll come back to this for the FIDO part, the database, and so on. But before I go into the details about the CMS, let me introduce VersaSec a little bit. So VersaSec, we are a Swedish company. Our headquarters is in Stockholm. The company has been founded in 2007, and we have introduced our VSEC CMS, our credential management system, back in 2011. So now in 2024, we have more than 500 customers all over the world in the 58 countries. So we are a global company, as I have said. The research and development is done in Germany. Our service center is in the UK, and we have sales offices in France, where I am, in the US, in Egypt, in the UAE, and in Malaysia. Important to notice that we have an average customer lifetime of about 48 months. So let me try to go to the next slide. So as I have said, our main product, Service CMS, is fully supporting all the patient portfolio, whether we are talking about the PKI part with PIV or about the FIDO part. I'll come back to this. Whether we are talking about USB tokens or smart cards, standard smart cards. So let's get now a little bit more into the details about the credential management system. What is the responsibility of the CMS? Well, the CMS is here to orchestrate the life cycle of the two-factor authentication device that will be used by the employees to authenticate to their systems. So let's take an example. Let's say that I'm joining a company, and the first thing that the security officer will have to do for me is to issue a card, so to print the card graphically with the logo of the companies, with my name and so on, to encode the PKI part with the certificate and the keys, the FIDO part, so that I can use it also for WebOS. We would come back to this. And I will assign a PIN code, and I would be able to use my card on a daily basis to log on to my domain, go to the building, and so on. And maybe at some point I will block my PIN code, and I need to have a way to unblock it, whether this is by giving the card to an operator or with a self-service portal. Maybe also my certificate will expire at some point, and I need to have a way to renew them. And maybe after a few years, I will find a better job, and the HR department needs to have a secure way to revoke all my credentials and make sure that I cannot access any of the company content anymore. So it's kind of an high-level, non-exhaustive summary about the responsibility of the CMS is to make sure that the device is in the state we want it to be, and that all the connected systems that are using the identity inside the device are aware about these states. And we understand that to do that, we need to fully integrate with the customer's ecosystems. And we are the CMS vendor, which is the most widely integrated with third-party systems. So whether we are talking about physical credential, like the Fission portfolio, or virtual credential, like Windows Hello for Business, or some server-side virtual smart card, or the client-side virtual smart cards. Whether we are talking about certificate authorities for the PKI, HSMs, physical access systems, printers, if we are in the convert badge scope, user directory, and IDPs. I'll come back to this. So let's get a little bit more into the details about FIDO, since this is the topic today. As Pan mentioned, FIDO, Fast Identity Online, was built ready to be managed in a decentralized way for consumers, so that you and me, we can go to our Google account and we can enroll our credential from there. But because it's seen a little bit more simpler than PKI, you don't need a middleware, you don't need to manage a CRL. We see more and more demands from enterprise to deploy FIDO technologies for their employees also. However, they are really lacking about this centralized management that you must have when you want to deploy tokens or cards at an enterprise level. And that's what we bring with our VSEC CMS. So by integrating with IDPs directly in the same way that we integrate with PKI, we are able to provide a full centralized management of the FIDO part of the card also. And by doing that, we will manage the full life cycle of the device, same ways as the PKI, including pin and block capabilities, including inventory management, issuance on behalf, if the tokens are to be issued centralized by the operators and then dispatched afterwards, we can do that. Full traceabilities, revocation capabilities also. Temporary innovation, if you forget your token, we can issue a temporary one to you and you can still issue. You don't need to have several one in case you forgot it almost. No, just that we can manage all the temporary workflow in the same way. And yeah, fully integrate with all the main IDPs of the market, including Entra ID with Azure Tap. Okay. And what's interesting, of course, with this is we know that some of the tokens have both the PKI and FIDO management capability, which is the case with a efficient portfolio. In that case, the chance you have with our VSEC CMS together with this hardware is that you can get the best of both worlds, because you may have an environment where you can do some things with PKI and some things with FIDO. For example, if you don't have Entra ID yet, you may still use PKI for domain logon, or if you use remote desktop services, you may use PKI for that. But you may use FIDO for your web services, right? So by using the CMS, in a completely transparent way for the end users and the operators, everything will be done behind the scene. You will be able to manage the life cycle of both the PKI and the FIDO parts, and to be able to get advantage about what's best in both worlds. So yeah, including all the points that I have mentioned before. So our VersaSec credential management system comes into different hosting environment. First of VSEC CMS is available on-premise, of course, that you can install on your premises, but you can also install our VSEC CMS in a private cloud. And we have our VSEC CMS as a service, which is called VSEC Cloud, where we operate VSEC CMS on behalf of the customer on Azure. So if I want to list the key advantages about the solution. The first one is it's super easy to install and to manage. If you stick to standard use case, it really takes minutes to deploy. Then depending if you have a specific environment, of course, it could be a project, but we have a very intuitive user interface to optimize the efficiencies. Our system is fully scalable. You can deploy the system to manage 50 devices in the same way than 500,000 devices. So it gives us a lot of flexibilities and a lot of granularities also. Very cost effective, especially for small volumes. Customization. The workflows of the credential management system could be fully customized. We also have a number of API to make sure that we meet the customer's requirements. And finally, migration paths from other systems where we could transparently migrate all the tokens or cards migrated from third-party systems to our VSEC CMS. So
Great.
thanks. Yeah, please, Pan.
Well, thank you very much, William, and excellent coverage of the material. We're now coming to our Q&A session. Just wanted to actually, William, pass it back to you to make comment about the QR code here from VersaSec. So please go ahead.
Yeah, you can actually download a free evaluation version of our VSEC CMS in our website. It will be the full coverage of our CMS with no limitation in terms of features. The only limitation is that you will have the ability to manage up to 10 devices, which is perfect for proof of concept. Yeah, so, and together with your offering, Pan.
Very nice. Thank you so much for that. And for our audience, we are in the Q&A, so we will be accepting questions through the Q&A panel. In the meantime, I just quickly wanted to mention the QR code on the left is an offer for our audience to get a 25% off coupon directly set up here through the Feitian online store. And there's a coupon code that you can use. It's good through the end of the month for up to quantity 5 of any Feitian product that you would choose to try out and buy at the 25% off rate. So great. We have some questions coming in, William. Both of us are going to stand by and see what we can answer here as they're coming in. Actually, here's a question. It says, are there any limitations in the number of devices you can manage with VSEC CMS? So let me turn that over to you, William, to answer.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. Yeah, no, I mentioned it a little bit during the presentation. No, no, actually, definitely no. I mean, our system is fully scalable. It's tested to manage 700,000 of devices. As I have said, it could be used to manage very small deployment, like 50 device and 500,000 device. So no limitation at all.
Excellent. Here's another question. Why are hardware-based FIDO keys considered more secure than mobile apps or software authenticators? So actually, let me address that one. Essentially, the pass keys and the private keys, etc., are stored inside the secure enclave inside a FIDO key, a hardware-based key, and that data or information never leaves the key. So it makes this kind of authenticator completely unphishable, and that's why hardware-based FIDO keys are considered most secure. So another question coming in: Are companies using Microsoft MIM, which is at end of life? Would you please elaborate a bit more on how the migration to VSEC CMS would work? And I guess William, you'd be the one to.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Yeah, so it will work in a completely transparent way for the end users, in a way that we have some export tool that will be able to export the database from Microsoft MIM, and we will be able to import this database into our VSEC CMS afterwards, so that from without any user interaction, we will be able to take the ownership of the already managed card by MIM and take ownership of them in the CMS. So we currently have a lot of customers migrating from Microsoft MIM to our VSEC CMS.
Excellent. Here's a question. I think we have time for one last question, which is the challenge around the question really is, how are enterprises tracking FIDO keys issued to their workforce? And let me see, William, would you like to address that one? And I can also put some comments in after you're done.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. It's a very good question, because that's one of the challenge that we can have, because um, if you want to track or to manage like we do with the CMS, the life cycle of the device, you need to be able to identify them, obviously, and for that you need a unique identifier, like a card serial number, for example. And by design, because the FIDO standard is meant to be anonymized, you don't have in the standard a way to identify the token. So either you need some kind of proprietary command to be able to identify the tokens, or either where you have the chance to have some tokens that have both PKI and FIDO capabilities, even if you don't use the PKI, and we will be able to use the card serial number of the PKI side to identify the tokens, and that way we can keep track about all the tokens the same way we do with PKI.
That's great. I think you expressed that really well. And Feitian does produce some keys, FIDO keys that have PKI and PIV capability built in. So there's these virtual slots where you can store certificates for authentication, for digital signing, for code signing, etc. And in fact, just like you said, we actually have unique serial numbers that are embedded in that virtual smart card, and that's what many of our customers are using today, to track that. And like you said, William, it's a little bit of an extension outside of the current FIDO standard, but it does provide that ability for enterprises to manage their FIDO keys, and also to make sure sometimes that people aren't going out and kind of do a BYOD or buy your own device and bring it into the enterprise. So those are all ways in which enterprises are managing their FIDO keys today. And having a solution like VersaSec is really important when it comes to being able to manage FIDO keys securely. All right, excellent. We have actually come to the end of our program. Certainly appreciate everybody joining in today. William, I very much appreciate you partnering with us, sharing your knowledge on this one. And at this point, we're going to wish everybody a great day moving forward. And we're at the end of this program. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.